Hello. So we're going live today. Hello, Tanya.
Hi, Marelise.
Just going to wait a bit. We lost a bit of connection at the moment. So if you're just a bit patient, Jade is busy logging on. So she's going to come in within the next couple of seconds as well. But how are you doing today? How are you feeling?
Are you talking about me? I'm very well. It's been a very hot, steamy day here in Port Elizabeth. I don't know how all the listeners are doing out there. I'm pretty sure you've also been battling with these high heat waves and load shedding going and all the rest, but we're here.
Yes.
We're live.
This is what we're talking about today. Is we're talking about resilience, but we will give it a few more minutes before we start talking about that and telling people what I took. Hi, Jade. Welcome.
Oh.
Connection. And it's so funny how this is such a runner up to what we're doing today, navigating waves of change. So how are you doing today, Jade? A bit of a palpitation there with losing the connections?
Yes, and I have to think really quickly about a solution. But it seems like everything's fine now. And like you said, it's a prelude to the series, Navigating Waves of Change and Honoring Stories of Resilience. We've got to be resilient even with technology issues.
What do we do? How do we do it? And all of that stuff. Sure. Okay. So
I think
just give a bit of time. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. So you let me know when we're ready to go, and I think
you can start. You can start.
For those newcomers, we say welcome, welcome, welcome. For those who know us, we say welcome back. And I'm just going to take 1 minute and reintroduce us. My name is Marelise, and I'm with Jade at Listening Well Counseling Services. I'm a registered counselor, and I've got the honor of working with two beautiful souls, my colleague Jade, and then Tanya. So Tanya's the blonde, Jade the blonde. We will be doing a short workshop coming on the 13th of March. And what we're starting today is a 3-part series, honoring stories of resilience. And it's a runner-up to workshop, as I said, to our workshop, Navigating Waves of Change. And this baby was born because I think we started realizing that we're living in the times where it is important to hear the stories of resilience. I realized the other day when I was driving and yet another COVID story came on, and I just switched the radio off. I don't want to hear about it anymore. And what we are going to be doing is we are going to switch on to stories of resilience. Something beautiful came through because we were wondering, how do healthcare workers, how do they survive through all of these things? And a video came through of yet another patient successfully leaving the hospital after being in ICU for a very long time. And I became very emotional when I saw the video because the nurses were standing there clapping, and I thought, that's resilience. That is really. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting the story, but as we're going along, we will also be bringing in other people to hear their stories of resilience. How deep that they dig into the well to come through something that was very difficult for them. So in this 3-part series that we're going to be doing today, and then on the 18th and also on the 25th, today Jade is talking about her own story of resilience. Next week, I'll be talking about everyday greatness. And Tanya on the 25th is going to take us home with her story of resilience. Very vulnerable for us. Please be kind. I'm asking very nicely. This is very vulnerable for us to be on here. And I think that's part of being resilient, is being able to be open about your vulnerability. And after we've done the stories of resilience and encouragement that we've shared, we will also be telling you a little more about the workshop that we'll be having. But before we go any further, and I just want to ask, Tanya, what do you understand about navigating waves of change? How does that make sense to you?
Putting me on the spot there, Mary.
Resilience, girl, resilience. Bounce in there.
I think that's actually it, isn't it? It's putting us on the spot. And, are we going to be able to overcome challenges? Are we going to be able to find some purpose and meaning along the way? Even though change is scary, I think for all of us, change is fearful. And I think this is what the series is about, that we will be putting ourselves on the spot, being vulnerable and sharing our own personal stories and sharing other stories, so that hopefully listeners can get something from it, or maybe they can share, they maybe relate to what we're saying, and we can all help each other.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And Jade, just shortly before we go into you, because we've pre-recorded Jade's story of resilience, what has been something for you? What do you understand waves of change? How does that make sense for you?
I recently watched a movie called The Impossible about the 2004 tsunami. And just watching how the family tried to, or the tsunami came and really destroyed the place, and there were people holidaying, and the focus was on this one particular family, and just seeing their own stories of trying to get out of an impossible situation really resonated with me, because I realized, even with COVID, it's like this wave of change and uncertainty and destruction as well. And now we've got our second wave, and people are predicting a third wave. And we, like you said, Marelise, we're almost tired of hearing about COVID and all of that. But what we do want to hear is, how are people surviving? How are they coping? What is it that gets you through the day? And I think that's how, like you said, that's how this series was birthed, is we want to know and honor stories of resilience. But we've also got to start with our own. And so the story I share is a bit of an old story, but that sometimes we have to remember old stories to get through our new stories of resilience. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies, for sharing your insights. And with that, I think let's go into Jade's story, Tanya. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's take it away.
Hello, my name is Jade. I'm a counseling psychologist based in Port Elizabeth, South Africa. And today I'm sharing a story of resilience, a story of my own. We're starting a process or a program called Navigating Waves of Change. And with this current pandemic, there's so much change happening constantly in our lives. I believe that sometimes it's helpful to look at old stories of resilience from our lives to give us strength and courage for the new challenges that we're facing. A story that I'd like to share is the story of how I became a counseling psychologist. And, I'll start with the selection process. I had applied and was shortlisted and attended this rigorous selection program, which was quite hard. And of course they're trying to make sure that they have the right fit for the job, to get through the 2 years of training, which is not an easy 2 years. So they've got to put you through quite a few challenges to kind of make sure that you're the right person for the job. So basically I attended the selection program, and I remember clearly walking out of the room of the final panel interview, closing the door behind me, taking a deep breath in, and just burst out into tears. And at that stage, I clearly remember my tears were really just being proud of myself for getting through the whole process and being fully present, kind of being brave, challenging myself to answer where I felt pulled to answer, just to be vulnerable and embrace what was in front of me. I also was a very quiet and shy person, so it kind of went a little bit against me to be in a competitive space and to make sure that I'm seen, or that the qualities I need to be seen are seen. So it was really a stretching process for me. And that's why when I left that room that day, I was overwhelmed, because I allowed myself to stretch and be present for what I needed to be. After that, I didn't get into the program, and I had to find something else to do. So I moved cities. I got a job in a massive company as a receptionist, where there were many receptionists. It was that big of a company. And I just remember that first week of being there, really being unhappy, being very, very anxious to the point where my tummy would, be in a kind of knots all the time. And waking up in the morning to go to work was really hard. Going to bed was hard, because I think, oh gosh, I've got to get to this place again. Basically, what I was in conflict within myself was being in a place where I felt I wasn't meant to be. And in that week, I saw an advert for a worship service at a local church. I was new to the area, and I thought, well, let me go and sit in some nice music and kind of talk to God and see, where am I at in my life? I went to the service, and I kind of just cried out to God in a way where I said, I know that I'm not where I want to be, so I need strength to either get through the season, however long it's going to be in this place, or I need a new opportunity that is more in line with who I am, what I want, and that will help me get to where I want to be. I surrendered my feelings there, and I went to work on Monday. When I was at work on Monday, surprisingly, I felt like that day was a lot better. And I started making more conversation with people, getting to know people a bit better. So I opened myself up to the experience. When it came to lunchtime, I looked at my phone, and there were so many missed calls. I quickly, phoned back, and I found that the university was trying to get hold of me. Unfortunately, somebody had dropped out of the program. Fortunately for me, the university offered the spot to me. I, in that moment, kind of celebrated. I said yes, without thinking about how am I going to get there, how am I going to afford it, any of that. I just knew that this was my open door, and I had to embrace it. I said yes. I think I had to do a finance application or something like that at that stage, but I was willing to do what I needed to do to embrace this open door opportunity. When I was doing my master's program, I found that all my little insecurities or not so little insecurities crept up in the first year. And I remember watching the movie Alice in Wonderland, the movie with Johnny Depp. And Alice falls down the rabbit hole, and she's really, really small, then she's really, really big, then, she's going through all of these confusing experiences, meeting all of these strange characters around her. And what I noticed from the movie for myself, and the meaning that I was making at that stage, was everybody kept asking, is it her? Is it her? Is she the right Alice? And I was, it made me question, is there another Alice that's supposed to come? How can there be another Alice? There's only this Alice. And at the end of the movie, I realized there was never another Alice. She was the only Alice that was ever going to come. But there was a questioning and a doubting, and a process that she needed to go through, people she needed to meet, challenges to overcome. And eventually she gets to the end of the story where she faces this massive, dragon monster, and they call it this Jabberwocky. They put the armor on her, and she reminds herself of, the impossible things that she had been through previously in order to get through this facing her Jabberwocky. And as she is reminding herself of all the impossible things she's been through, she then does something else impossible, and she overcomes, and she slays her Jabberwocky. How I related this to myself is the constant questioning and kind of challenging myself. Am I the right one for the job? Is it, am I really competent? Am I really good enough, perhaps, for this process, for this job? And, I had to come to the end of my own battle and fight my own Jabberwockies and say, that I am the right Alice. And perhaps that is the encouragement that I want to offer for you today, is that no matter what situation you find yourself in, I love the quote by Joseph Campbell, the cave you fear to enter holds your greatest treasure. And I feel like Alice jumping in or falling in to her rabbit hole, going through her challenges, facing her Jabberwocky, being brave enough to face and fight and overcome, was her cave she feared to enter. My master's program was my cave I feared to enter. The selection process was me entering the cave. Trying to find a new path was the cave I feared to enter. When the opportunity came to say yes was the cave I feared to enter. Though each of those caves held my greatest treasure. And to this day, I'm still continuously facing new caves and overcoming new challenges. But every challenge that I've overcome in the past helps me overcome the challenges I find myself in today. So I want to leave you with that. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. And I hope that you too will honor your own stories of resilience. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jade. I really enjoyed hearing your personal story of resilience. I think what I really enjoyed is the comment or the insight that you made where you said, every challenge of the past helps me overcome the challenges I find myself in today. I really enjoyed that. I think it shows that we can build on our resilience. It's not something that you're either born with or you don't have it. You build on it day by day, every day, with everyday challenges. So just a recap of next week, we have the next series that is featuring Marelise, which she'll share her personal story. And then the 25th of February, I'll share my personal story of resilience. And thereafter, we will share other stories of resilience, possibly on a monthly basis. We want to kind of keep it alive and keep on growing in this together and learning about resilience together. Then just look out for our workshop that we're planning on Saturday, the 13th of March, Navigating the Waves of Change. That'll be a face-to-face workshop in Port Elizabeth. We will venture into an online workshop as well down the line, but we'll give some more details in the future. So I'd just like to say have a good week ahead, facing your personal Jabberwockies, entering your caves and facing up to your challenges. May it be a good week ahead. And yeah, any further words you'd like to add, Marelise or Jade?
Quite interesting watching back from this perspective. So thank you. Thanks, ladies, for assisting with the process. And I'm looking forward to listening to your stories as well.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
See you next
Thank you
week.
very much. Okay. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.